And now they at least had their babies. But of course, a lot of women abort their babies. We now have, again, casual recreational sex. This young man says, nice to meet you. Would you like to have dinner, go to a movie, and then have sex? And she says, sure, why not? As I mentioned, there's no expectation you even know each other's last names now when you have sexual intercourse. People used to think that you shouldn't have sex unless you were in love. You shouldn't have sex unless you were in love. Remember that? Do you remember when sex was called making love? That's a lovely phrase. I say the phrase having sex all the time, which is kind of crude. I love the phrase making love, but that's not what people are doing anymore. They're not making love. They're having sex, right? But at one time people said you shouldn't have sex unless you're in love. You shouldn't have sex unless you're prepared for babies. And you're not prepared for babies until you're married. That's not rocket science. That's just pure common sense. You know, we tell kids you shouldn't drive a car unless you're mature enough to handle a car. You shouldn't be drinking unless you're mature enough to handle it. Well, you're not mature enough to handle sex, really, until you're married. Because you don't have the proper context for welcoming a baby should a baby come. But contraception has made us separate having sex and having babies. They're two entirely different activities in our culture. People don't say, oh, you have sex, I better be ready for babies. No way. Maybe someday I'll have babies. I have a lot of sex, but babies are on the horizon. They just see one is inextricably bound up with the other. I've always been puzzled by this phrase, accidental pregnancy. I used to work at a pregnancy help center where young girls would come in and they told me they got pregnant by accident. Again, I'm an excessively logical person, and his left brain would almost cramp, you know, when they said they got pregnant by accident. I was sitting there and I was biting my tongue, you know, and I want to say, well, I wanted to say, you know, don't you know that actually something's gone right, something's not gone wrong when you get pregnant or through sex. That's what's supposed to happen. You know, if you step on the gas pedal of a car and it goes forward, you don't go, ooh, how did that happen? All right? We know the cause and we know the effect. But people now talk about accidental pregnancy. There's no such thing. It actually, again, means something's gone right, not that something's gone wrong. But our culture is so separated the two, they're surprised. Oh, I got pregnant. I said, well, you were having sex, right? It follows. So what is this? Again, people said it was going to reduce the number of unwed pregnancies. Now more than 4 in 10 children are born to unwed mothers. 42% of babies born in the United States are now born to unwed mothers. 42%. That is internal corrosion that cannot be believed, the effects of this. We hear all about these horrible teachers and how horrible they're doing in school. And I said, how can you teach a kid that comes from a broken home? I mean, some of them are okay, but I've seen it myself. They cry when they get up in the morning. They have to get up too early to go to daycare, and then dad's not there. You don't see dad, and mom's stressed out because she's got to get you to here before she goes to work, and then she comes home, and it's just stress plus, and who can help you with the homework because mom's all stressed out, and she's fighting with dad on the phone over custody things for the weekend. It's not the true of all divorced families. Some divorced families can manage it, but it's not untypical. It's not atypical. Right? And you think, what is our culture looking like when 42% of the babies are born out of wedlock? 72% of African Americans are born out of wedlock. Having babies out of wedlock is a really bad choice. It's a really bad choice for the impact on your life and the impact on the life of the children. Okay, contraceptives failure again. A little more on this. Of all women using the pill for 1 year, somewhere around 8% will experience a pregnancy. All women using the pill for 1 year, 8% will experience a pregnancy. How safe is that? Between 14 and 15% of women who use the condom will become pregnant within a year. A poor cohabiting teenager using the pill has a failure rate of 48%. I mean, teenagers are just as good as taking the pill every day as they are in making their bed and doing their chores and doing their homework. They're just as good as that. And sometimes they want to buy a CD or, you know, download, I mean, how many iTunes. And believe me, if you give it to them free, some of them will sell it, all right? So the chances of helping out these teenagers by dumping more contraceptives at them, I think, is absurd. Get this one. Over 70% of poor cohabiting teenagers using condoms will be pregnant within a year. By contrast, the middle-aged, middle-class married woman has a 6% chance of pregnancy after a year of condom use. So the very people that we might say would be the ones we most want to get contraceptives to are the ones who have